wait till
Hello, and welcome to Lynn Hanson Gallery. This is an interview with Lisa JonesMoore and Lynn Hanson. Since I'm the gallery owner, it's a little different this time. Lisa's going to help to interview me, and I'm going to interview her. So I just want to welcome you to the show. It's called Reprise. And the reason it's called Reprise is 4 years ago, Lisa and I did a show together called Sense of Place, Imagined and Transformed. And Lisa's pieces were about her love of Mexico, and in particular, San Miguel de Allende. She just loved going there. It was a very special place in her soul and in her heart. And mine was about imagining Denmark. It's a place I've always wanted to go. I had some family background there, and I had never been. And so my images were about imagining Denmark. They weren't real in any way, but they were my imagination, just having fun imagining it. So Reprise, we decided we would name our show Reprise, which in the dictionary in music, it means number one, a repetition, and number two, a return to the first theme or subject. So in some ways, we're returning to our sense of place. But in other ways, due to turbulent situations in the past year and lots of changes in both of our lives, we are, we've expanded the theme from just sense of place and going into other things, including what we did during COVID. So we're very happy that you all could be with us. What we're going to do is I am going to introduce Lisa in a minute, and she can tell about herself, and then I'll tell a little bit about myself, and then she's going to pick out some of her pieces of art that she wants to share, and then I will pick out some of mine that I'd like to share. We're going to ask each other questions, and we'd love to have questions from anybody that's in the audience. So thank you so much. And I also want to announce that the Icon 8th Annual Icon Show prospectus is on my website. For any artists that do any kind of art, you're welcome to enter. It's a really cool show. This year, the juror is Dawn Laurent, and she's a fabulous artist. And she also has been an art appraiser for many, many, many years. So she's very experienced. Also, I'm excited to announce that Lisa is going to be in person in the gallery next Saturday, the 19th, from 12:30 to 2:30 for a meet and greet. So we would love to have people come in live. It's been exciting because people are really coming down here, and it feels a lot better. Some people wear masks and some people don't, but it feels like we're kind of past the worst of it, and people are excited to be in person. And then I think because it is getting better, I'm going to be open for next First Thursday Art Walk. Yay. I know, Shift Gallery next door was open for the last one, and they said they had 30 people come in. So it's happening. And my next artist is Nina O'Neill, and the name of her show is Origin Story. And it's about, she's just during this past year, she's let her imagination run wild about things in her childhood, and she's done some wonderful, beautiful pictures, and she's an oil painter. So welcome everybody to that. So Lisa, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, yes. How much time do I have?
How much time do you need?
I'm looking at my website just so I remember where I've been in my life. I have to read about myself here. But I basically started as a graphic designer for many years. I was a graphic designer. And then when I moved to Washington State, I turned to plein air painting, which was an amazing journey in oils and mostly pastels, soft pastels. Did that for a very long time. And then life changed and I became bored, which is pretty common for me. And I switched over to more mixed media and collage. It was kind of the big movement, in the early 2000s, to be doing all this mixed media, altered books, collage assemblage, and I still love collage and assemblage, but I really wanted to paint. So I'd heard about encaustic, and what is this encaustic? And it looks so amazing. So I've been working in encaustic since, and in wax, molten wax art, since 2004 or 5, and mixed media thrown in. It's just an amazing. It's very tactile, it's warm, it's alive, it's organic, it's beeswax and Damar resin. And it will do just about anything, 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, layers, layers and layers. You can put something away for a year and bring it back out and turn on the torch, and you can start revising it again. And then just lately, I've gotten into, in the last year, cold wax and oils, which is now the big craze. It was encaustic, now it's cold wax and oils. Oh, and oh, and there's my husband, and I wanted to thank him for everything he's done to get this show going. So yeah, it's been a real journey to go off in that direction in cold wax and oils, and more abstract, which is where I want to be, but still based in landscape and my experiences in Mexico and the culture of Mexico, the people. Just I'm not being representational really, but it's all what's in my heart that is coming out in an abstract form, especially the landscape and the culture. So so here I am, and I'm just so happy to be here with you, Lynn, and thank you and your hubby, Robert, and my hubby who helped me get all this put together. And Liz, thank you for being the Zoom master.
Yes.
And that's about it for now for me. Over to you.
Okay, so I am Lynn Hanson, and I moved here about 16 years ago from San Diego. And I finished late in life. When I was 50, I finished my art degree. I had been taking a whole bunch of classes while I was raising kids in night school and community colleges. And so I got a scholarship to San Francisco Art Institute, and I got to go there and graduated in 2005. So that was a strange and amazing journey in itself. But right in the middle of finishing my degree, my husband decided to move. My husband, that's now my ex-husband, decided that we should move to Seattle. My daughter was up here, so we moved to Seattle 16 years ago, and I didn't know where to meet artists. I thought at my age, everybody already has all their friends, and I'll never be able to meet anybody. And so I think, Lisa, you were one of the first people I met. There was in Edmonds, Washington, there's a building called Artworks that the city of Edmonds has dedicated to having artists be able to get together and put on meetings and just meet each other and help each other to connect. So I met Lisa there, and I was always really impressed with her. And so that was good. And so we've yeah, I guess I think I probably met you in the first year that I was here. It's been a long time. So then 9 years ago, I started a gallery. I decided that I really liked, I was parts of different galleries, and I discovered that I really liked artists, and I really liked working with artists. And it was exciting for me to be able to put together shows. I love hanging art, and I don't know, I just love the whole process. I love talking to people about art. I'm better talking about other people's art than I am about my own art, which you'll probably find out very quickly, but but I really do like talking to artists. And so I've had a gallery in this building for the last 9 years. The first one was in a different space, and then I had a second smaller one, and now I'm in the one that I really like the best. And I've been here for about 4 years. And so that's about it for me too. I'm trying to see if so we'll just go on to Lisa. Would you show us some of your images that are important in this show and let us know why?
Oh, yes. Are you going to?
I'm going to do that.
Okay, so Margraten. is the first one I'd like to talk about.
Okay, this is not going to be the right picture, so I have to find the right one. Let's see. Okay, here's Margraten. Can
Okay.
everybody see that okay?
Yeah, is that on the screen? All right. This is a piece I actually did a couple of years ago, and it's a diptych, and it's 24 wide by 48 inches tall. Quite the undertaking. It's done in encaustic and oh my gosh, encaustic, mixed media, lace, metal, rust. And I have a sense of place. I know Lynn was talking about that. Can you all hear me? Yes? Okay. So let me give you a little background on this. So every year an organization called the Faces of Margraten is located in the Netherlands. They collaborate every 2 years to hold a beautiful ceremony called the Faces of Margraten. And it's located in the city of that name. And it commemorates the lives of the fallen who defended the Dutch citizens against the Nazi forces. Recently, I was contacted by a volunteer with this group asking if I was related to someone buried there who is my uncle, Captain George Edward Jones, and he is indeed there. He died during this campaign to defend the Dutch. Unfortunately, yes, it was his last mission, and he had volunteered to fly this mission, so he did not return. So I did supply them with his history and a photo, and then what they try to do as the Faces of Margraten is to place the photo next to the gravesite and commemorate that person. So this painting I dedicated to the Dutch people, and they have been, all these gravesites have been adopted by the Dutch people, and they tend these gravesites all the time. I mean, without being asked, they just do this. And in my mind's eye, this is how I imagine this sacred ground to look, and the painful and intense and proud moments involved when the members visit this site, which I hope to do someday. So yes, that was that one. Okay, next is Ignacio was here. Yes, which is in Spanish, Ignacio estuvo aquí. So interestingly, I ended up in San Miguel de Allende quite often in central Mexico. It's a major arts site, a center, international kind of an art center, old Spanish colonial town. And during one of my visits, I visited the former home of Ignacio Ramirez. And he is a philosopher, was promoter of human rights and economic and educational reforms in the 1800s there in San Miguel and in Mexico. He was considered one of the most enlightened men of his time. So during my visit to his home, which was in various stages of ruin and disrepair, I was really struck by the spirit of this place and his presence and his legacy. So this is my visual interpretation of what I felt while I was in this amazing former home of his. And this piece is 20 by 30, and it is in encaustic. Okay, next piece. I think it's I Am the Cabin.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. This piece is an encaustic. It's got collaged encaustic monotypes as well as encaustic paints. It's got a lot of mark making and scratching and grooving and all kinds of things going on. And it's another 20 wide by 30 inches deep. And this is kind of what I'm going into now is since the pandemic has started and since I have been displaced myself since selling my home in Edmonds and moving to the mountains on the east side of the Cascades, I would say that, I'm trying to find where is my cabin, and my cabin is me. So where is my sanctuary? I have I don't know at this moment in my life. I don't know where this sanctuary is, and I'm searching for it. So I'm starting to do this series that keeps coming out in these sort of quilt-like patterns. I've noticed, as you can see here, that I'm searching for this sanctuary. Maybe that cabin that in the woods that I always wanted isn't out there in the woods, maybe, or somewhere. Maybe it's inside of me. And so I've got a couple of pieces in the show that pursue this this searching that I'm in the middle of at the moment. And the next one I think is related to this. It's called Cabin Near White River. And this was one of the latest ones I did. It just flowed out of me. I didn't even plan it. It just came out a couple of months ago. This is 12 inches wide by 24 inches tall, and it is also on in encaustic. And I've used a lot of structure here. Again, I think I'm going into this sort of quilt patterning thing that is just coming out of nowhere. Maybe it gives me a sense of structure to have this grid-like pattern going on. I think it does, actually. I'm really liking working in right angles and grids and structure right now, because it has been so crazy over the last couple of years of my life. So this came in my head after I did a hike up White River, which is nearby, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's got the glacial water color, that aquamarine, gorgeous color that you see coming off glaciers flowing down this river. And I was just stopped and was just stunned by this, river. So this again is kind of my search for, where is my sanctuary? Is it out here in the woods, or is it inside of me? Yes. So can everyone hear me okay still? Okay. The next one is 6 Virgins on the Wall. Ellen, I know you're going to get a kick out of this one. My friend Ellen is here.
I'm looking for it.
It is, there it is.
There it is. Okay.
Yes. So this is also an encaustic, and this is done in encaustic is basically molten beeswax Damar resin and pigment, and you work with it in a molten state. So this is my ode, my tongue-in-cheek to the most venerated icon in Mexico, and one of my most venerated icons, La Virgen, which is the Virgin, which she is everywhere in Mexico in various forms, shapes, sizes, colors, looking down on her people. So she just takes on a lot of forms and shapes depending on which part of Mexico you're in. She's on walls, she's in windows, she's not just in churches and sanctuaries. I mean, literally, she's painted on rocks, and I could go on and on about like truck murals, pickup truck murals, and she's everywhere. So this is my ode to Mexico and my love of the Mexican culture. And I can't help but, include her in my art sometimes. So, all right, the next one is 5 Seasons of the Lotus. And there it is, down on the left, Lynn. Down, a little bit more down, a couple more down.
There it is.
There it is. And this is another favorite icon of mine. And no, it's not the coronavirus, symbol, which my husband keeps saying. No, this is the lotus pod, which I've included in a lot of my art. And in Buddhism, the lotus blooms in a swampy, muddy, kind of mucky mess, and it represents beauty from ugliness, something from nothing. So I love the shape of the lotus pod. So this is really kind of for me, a painting of hope. So And this one is an encaustic also, and it's 20 by 20. All right, the next one is Winter Mezzo. And there it is on the left. This is also an encaustic. Mezzo meaning middle, and or intermission. So, and I just love that word mezzo. But it's basically, this is also encaustic. It's 15 inches wide by 30 inches tall. And this started out amazingly as a horizontal, sort of an abstract tree landscape with shadows, long blue shadows. And I just could not get it to, it just wasn't happening, which, you know, you just put it away in the closet for a while and bring it out and hope that something happens, and then you put it back for a while. So it did, that happened quite a bit with this piece. And then I got it out and I turned it vertically, and I thought, oh, well, that's, I really like that. And then winter was coming on here in the mountains. And I thought, you know, if I take this in a winter direction, I think I might like this. So I painted white over everything but that center line there in the middle, the vertical line of the blue squares. And I started to it really started to go somewhere for me. And so for me, the left quadrant there represents the first snow that comes down and covers all the foliage. And so you're still seeing the colors through the snow. And then the center line, of course, is the winter mezzo, winter intermission. It was a very long winter, so it's a very long line. Very long winter this year. And then I feel like the left quadrant is, with the straight lines, represent the shoots coming up through the snow in spring. So this has become one of my favorite pieces.
And that's Leavenworth, not San Miguel, right?
Leavenworth, yes. Not San Miguel, Mexico. Yes. And the next one is Crossing Deeply. And this one is, when it comes up, this is in oil and cold wax medium. There it is, the very first one up there.
Of course.
And this is a direction I'd really love to be going. And like I said, I started oil and cold wax about a year ago. This one is 12 inches wide by 19 inches tall and framed in beautiful matte and plexi and glass frame. And another of my icons, I think, is working with the cruciform. And I guess I have Mexico to thank for that as well, which they're everywhere in many, many forms, not just in churches and sanctuaries. And so I'm really influenced by this. I think it also, for me, represents a crossroads and a situation of both physically, mentally, and emotionally, and in life, you know, which way to go, which way do I go? So there's a decision to be made, you know, when I look at cruciforms. This is another one that just spontaneously flowed out of my hand and onto the paper, but this does not happen very often. So it was just a wonderful experience. And you can do lots of layers with oils and cold wax medium, kind of like encaustic, but the technique, of course, is not the same because you're not using heat with oils and cold wax. So, but you can get a kind of to look like encaustic. Do we have more time, Lynn, or am I?
I would like for you to talk about, for sure, Ladders to San Miguel, because that's one of my favorites.
Oh, me too. Okay, this is another oil and cold wax, and it turned out to be a diptych, and I did two 12 by 16 inch panels, and I painted them, and then I attached them, or had my husband attach them together, and they are now attached. And again, I started working with a very large palette knife with the oils and cold wax medium, and it's got a squared off edge. So I was really loving the motion of just loading up that palette knife and just getting these very square, large areas of color. But really what came out of this, again, I didn't plan this to come out until I stood back and really looked at it, is my yearning, of course, to return to San Miguel. And in San Miguel de Allende, you will see lots of ladders going up to rooftop terrazas. Everyone has a rooftop terrazza. Everyone is at some point of the day is on their rooftop at doing something. People keep their water Tinaco tanks up there. They keep their plants up there. So I just can't wait to get back. So I realized this was my showing my desire to get back to San Miguel, which will be this fall in September. So, yeah.
And then one more, staying in my lane.
Yeah, staying in my lane. Again, this went in and out of, do we have it yet? Of different iterations, and there it is. A little bit farther down. You're almost there. Yes. So this is encaustic again, and mixed media, and lots of texture. You just almost have to touch this one. So I hope some of you can get in there to see these in person. This is 16 by 16. And this basically, I guess, during the 15 months, during the pandemic, again, it's called Staying in My Lane. Where do I belong? What do I do when I get to the grocery store? What route do I take? What is safe? What is not safe? So I think all of that was having an impact, of course. And I was just basically staying in my lane, which is out of everyone's way. But this is kind of what came out at some point. And I actually didn't love the first few versions, and then finally it just came together. So that's it.
Nice one.
And thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to share a few of mine. The first one I'm going to talk about is during COVID, I wasn't like deep thinking. I was just trying to survive. So I decided I was just going to paint what made me happy. So I did a series called Nature Heals. And one of the things that made me really happy was going on walks with my husband in the forest every day. We'd go 3 miles. And this is kind of an imaginary view of the forest that we walk through in Lyndale Park. So that's the first one. There's 4 in this series. This is another one of our walks. And then the other thing that made me really happy during COVID was just growing flowers, having gardens and puttering and digging in dirt and all that. So this one is called Nature Heals 2. And that's just some of the flowers that I was growing, versions of. And then this one is Nature Heals 3, and that's some happy daffodils. So that's one of my most recent series. And then a series I was working on, I lost both my parents in the last couple of years, but right after my dad died, I started working on a series. These are long. It looks like a tiny piece, but it's actually 48 inches long by 12 inches. And these are cold wax and oil. And I call these layers of life because I just started thinking about, like, if you're an archaeologist and you were digging down to layers and layers and layers of the earth and what you would find, and how what's under the earth tells stories about what's happened in the past. And so the cold wax and oil, it's you build up a lot of layers, and underneath these layers, I start with some really bright layers of like bright orange and bright blue and just different kinds of bright layers. And then I work on top with different colors, and then I can scratch down into those colors that are underneath. So it's kind of like digging down, or doing an archaeological dig, and you find these things that come forward that I forgot I put there. So when I do cold wax and oil, I use half cold wax, which is I use Dorland's cold wax, and it's the consistency of the old Crisco that you used to make pies with, or probably a lot of people still do. But so you mix this gooey stuff with 50% of oil paint, and you just mix them together with a palette knife, and then you can smear them on with either a brayer or a scraper or palette knives. And then you can dig back into them with little tools or bigger tools. You can do a lot of different things with them. I'm excited. I get to go to San Miguel de Allende in October to take an advanced cold wax and oil workshop with Jerry McLaughlin and Rebecca Crowell. So I'm super excited about that. I was supposed to do it during COVID, but it had to be canceled. So I get to do it then. So this one is Layers of Life 3. And then this is Layers of Life 4. And again, this one is 48 by 12, so it's long. I like that long shape. This one is Aquatic Layers of Life, and actually in the gallery it's hung horizontally, not vertically. And it's just like you think of all that's under the water that we don't know about, and just in nature and life. And then, so those are those three. And then the other series I started after my dad died this is the first one I did. And my dad has some Danish heritage, so I kind of use Viking ships and the theme of journey. And, this is into the unknown. So, just like what happens when you die. And that's what started this series. And then this one is Calm Water, and this is cold wax and oil too. And this one is Storm at Sea. And these are all 20 by 20. And then this one is called Brave New World, and that's 20 by 20. And so those are those two series. And then my newest one, my mom died about 6 months ago. So my newest series, I kind of I've done candles before in my work, and I wanted to try it in cold wax and oil. So this is my newest one with candles. It's called Whisper of Gratitude. And it's hard to see here, but there's scratching that shows going up into the candle, into the smoke, that's scratching to the heavens, kind of. And then this one is called Illuminating the Darkness. And these are 36 by 12. And there's one more little one, a 12 by 12. This is called Prayers for the Future. After COVID, I just thought, we need some prayers for the future. Don't want that to happen again. So that's that. And then, as far as my trip I finally did get to go to Denmark, and I haven't done a lot of pieces after Denmark, specifically about Denmark, but this was my great-great-grandmother was from an island next to Sweden that's owned by Denmark that's called Bornholm. And so this is Bornholm. This is a house in Bornholm. It's really beautiful. It's almost the way it was 100 years ago. This island is just gorgeous, gorgeous. So that was, I really haven't done a lot of really specifically things about Denmark. It's more just the feeling that I kind of put into all my pieces, that I've been inspired by that. And then these, I had last year, we had indigo, no, the year before, 2019, we had indigo shibori workshop where I dyed some papers in indigo dye with the shibori technique. And so I did 4 little pieces, 12 by 12s, that are all with the indigo and shibori technique. Oops, that's Lisa. Oh, that's before. My husband's trying to get me to talk. And then this is the other one. Oh, I have one other one too. This one was inspired by a trip I took to Oxford, England, and I did this photograph of this cool lion. And so these are three-dimensional pieces that I put on. It's very, very mixed media. And that's called Homage to C.S. Lewis. So that's my pieces. And now, Lisa, do you want to ask? I'll ask you questions first, how about? Since I've been talking.
Beautiful work, Lynn.
Thank you very much.
I love quite a few of them.
Thank you. So Lisa, you've gone through many changes in these 4 years, especially dealing with sense of place. How has this changed you and your art?
Oh, goodness. That's a very deep question. I have to say I was very fortunate to have purchased a home, townhome in San Miguel de Allende in February of 2018. And I was able to spend quite a bit of time going back and forth between Washington State and there, both creating and teaching in my studio there. And I would say it has definitely brought home that that is one of my soul places. Mexico has always been one of my soul places, but I've been visiting San Miguel since 2013 when I went on a art tour with with a sort of an art project attached, and I went back twice a year every year after that, and met some very dear people, one of whom is here today, Ellen Toscart there. And she meets me there at least once a year, somewhere in Mexico, usually Oaxaca or San Miguel. And we have art adventures together. So it has definitely become a place that is important in my life. And it does, I think, come through in my art. And then I did recently sell my home in Edmonds, Washington, and moved to the other side of the Cascade Range, where I have been able to embrace nature to the fullest. And again, that is part of my sense of place. I'm a Rocky Mountain girl. That's where I grew up. So now I'm back in the mountains. So.
Thank you. How did you get started with encaustics, and why do you like this medium so much?
Oh, gosh. Great question. I started, believe it or not, in 2004. I took a class at Art and Soul in Portland. And oh gosh, it was a beeswax collage class. And I will think of her name probably when I'm taking a shower tomorrow morning. But I walked in that room and smelled the beeswax and went, oh my, this is for me. This is heaven. And the things we could do with it. So I did a lot of beeswax collage and assemblage and mixed media for a couple of years. And then I jumped full blown into encaustic painting, which is really a step up technically. So that's where you put everything on the palette, a heated palette, and it's all pigmented beeswax with Damar resin, and you use torches, you use heat guns, you use irons, you use ceramic tools, anything metal you can use as a tool. You can scrape, carve, melt, build up, three-dimensionally. So I was hooked. Was that the question?
Absolutely. So where do you teach your classes, and are they for all levels of experience?
Yes. Right now, I've been teaching in San Miguel, but I have not been back for 15 months. But I will be going back in September sometime. And actually, David and I plan to stay for an extended amount of time, probably 9 to 12 months. So I will, if anyone wants to come down there, I will customize a class for them individually or for their small group. I can take up to 4 or 5 in my studio, and it would be for all levels, whatever they are wanting. So yes.
And what is the most difficult thing about painting with encaustics?
I would say that it's so diverse. There are so many techniques and so much media that works with encaustic. It takes a while to settle down and settle into what one loves. It is, you can do printmaking with it. You can, make it very three-dimensional. You can make it very smooth and glassy with a lot of translucent layers. You can make it very textural. So I think, with beginning students, I do a little bit of, maybe like 6 or 8 of those, and then, but there's so much more. I mean, it just goes on and on how many techniques. So I think it's deciding on which you like the best. So
I'll ask you one more question. Do you have a clear picture of your composition before you start, or does your work reveal itself as you go?
sometimes I do have a sketch or a photo that will say, like, of a rusty door or an old Mexican wall, in a 400-year-old cathedral, an old wall that's been scratched and pitted. I have that, and if I try to stick to that, though, that's where I get into trouble. So,
Yeah.
and I have done that many times, and it's better just to have it over there somewhere on the other side of the room, and just be inspired by that, but to really let the intuition take over instead of trying to copy exactly. That just doesn't work. So it's really more intuitive.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Great questions. Now I'm going to ask Lynn some questions.
Uh-oh.
And then we have questions from the audience. All right. Well, Lynn, it's been 4 years since we did our Sense of Place, Imagined and Transformed beautiful show, your imaginings of Denmark and my experiences of Mexico, which amazingly goes together really well.
Well, I know. It's really surprising.
Yeah. And you might have already answered this question, but since that time you have actually gone to Denmark. And has this changed your art in any way?
I think I'm doing what I absorbed in Denmark into pieces without doing specifically, this is what it looks like. I'm not really doing, this is what it looks like, except for the one house in Bornholm. There are a few like that, but I think it's more picking up the vibe and what is wonderful about Denmark and trying to put that spirit into my paintings.
That's, more intuitive.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, well, since you started working in oils and cold wax medium, what impact has this had on your process in your art? Your process, it could be your inner process or your technical process, or.
Well, I think the thing that I like about cold wax and oil, and it's what I actually like about encaustic too, is you can't really totally rule it. I mean, it does its thing and you can't totally be super exact. It's a little bit rustic. It's a little bit, I don't know, I'm sure there are people who could do it, making perfect, exactly this is what this looks like. But I have no interest in making things that look exactly what they look like. So for me, I really like when it gets dry, how it's very, very flat. I like the flatness of it. Mm-hmm. Not physically flat, but more instead of glossy, it's the
matte.
Flat. It's very matte. Yeah. So I really like that. I like digging down and finding surprises. I like being able to add, I don't know, you can do all kinds of different stuff to it. That's really cool. There's a lot to learn, but it feels like the direction that's best for my work right now. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I like about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that too. I'm working in that too. I do have trouble with the fact that it doesn't go as quickly as encaustic.
I know, it dries so slowly.
So you've got to have many pieces going, and you have to set them aside for 2, 3, 4 days, 5, 6 days. so you don't muddy it up and then come back. Whereas in
Right.
caustic, you can build up a whole bunch of layers in
Yeah.
like no time.
Yeah.
So that I'm struggling with that.
Yeah.
So I'm also taking Jerry McLaughlin's class in San Miguel in October, but I'm taking the first intro class.
You'll love it.
Which they require before you take the advanced class. But I have been working with it for a year. But it is great.
Yeah,
It's
you're doing a
cool.
good job. Yep.
It's cool. Okay, let's see. What does the color blue mean to you, since it shows up in so much of your work?
Blue has always been my favorite color. I remember being a really little girl and laying down in the yard and just staring at the sky and just being awestruck with how beautiful blue is. And growing up in San Diego, going to the beach and seeing the water, I just have always loved water and sky, and blue just makes me happy. Also, when I was growing up, my grandmother had a blue and white windmill plate that was on her wall, and actually I have it on my wall now. And so that kind of made windmills stuck in my head. And my best friend when I was growing up had Danish relatives, and I would go to their house and things were blue and white and blue and white plates on the wall. And so I just was like, I just love it. It's just part of, and some of the books my grandma had, and just, the beautiful artwork. There was one called East of the Sun and West of the Moon that was a Scandinavian, I think a Danish artist and Danish author. And I would just sit on her couch and look at that for just hours. I just loved.
Oh, I'd like to see that book.
So the illustrations were so beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, what was it called? What was the name again?
East of the Sun, West of the Moon. It's by K.A.Y. Nielsen, Nielsen, I think. And I'm sure that's the Danish name.
Boy, that sounds great. Okay.
Yeah. So I just have always, it's just been part of.
Is that a children's book or?
It is kind of a fairy tale, but in the olden days, how fairy tales were kind of like.
Yes.
You wouldn't want to read them to your kids now. Yeah, there was something to do with a bear going to bed with a maiden, and oh
my God.
So
thanks Liz, she put a link to the book.
Yes. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so that's why I like
I have to get that one now.
Yeah,
I have to get it. And question number 4, the last one. Let's see. Did your 2 pieces called Illuminating the Darkness and The Whisper of Gratitude, the 2 long, skinny ones with the candles, did those come to you as a direct result of your experience in the pandemic?
Yeah, more so with my mom's death, I think, which was during the pandemic. So yeah, because of that. And because I did a whole bunch of acrylic candle paintings that I really, really liked. And I just wanted to try it in cold wax and oil. And I love that long format. So it was just a kind of a fun project.
They're gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's it.
So that's our questions to each other. Is there anything that anybody else would like to ask us? And we would love to have people come down to the show. Ellen, it's good to see you. I hope you'll do the icon show this year.
Unmute. You guys can unmute now.
Oh, Lynn, thank you so much. I am so inspired, and I will definitely put something for entry into icon.
Awesome. I always love to see.
I just want to comment. I don't have a question, but it's so lovely the way that even though you are doing Nordic and Lisa's doing Southern, they just marry very, very well, and it's just a beautiful show.
Isn't that
actually be able to see it in person?
So great to see you, Ellen, and I will see you south of the border sometime.
Okay.
Sounds like you're a regular down there, Ellen.
Let me put it this way. They have to literally put up garlic to keep me away.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I get to go in October. So
all right.
She's going to be staying, Ellen, Lynn and her husband are going to be staying in your Queen's chamber.
Oh my gosh.
We'll try to keep it clean for you.
It's transformative. I mean,
oh, good.
it's just, you're just gonna fall in love completely.
Thank you. And I love my Mona Lisa.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's in my dining room.
Oh my gosh, I'm very
Yeah.
touched. And when I get a chance, I have something to do after this Zoom meeting, but I'm going to take a picture of one of the very first mosaics I did because it has a little Dutch windmill in it.
Oh,
yes.
Yes,
That's
okay.
cool.
It was, someone had given me a box of Dutch chocolates about 30 years ago. And about 10 years ago, I started doing mosaics and I had this little tile from the
Oh,
Dutch
awesome.
chocolate, and it's chipped, and in a certain way, it gives it even more meaning. Its
Yeah.
brokenness gives it
Yeah.
Yes.
something special.
Wabi sabi.
Wabi
Yes.
sabi. I was just thinking exactly the same thing. It becomes more beautiful with age.
Yes,
Like us, right?
exactly. Well, thank
Yes.
you so much.
We're wabi sabi.
Yeah. Any other
Martha,
comments or
thank you
questions?
for
Hi,
being
Martha.
here.
I know I've met you before. We have met before, Martha. I just don't remember where.
Probably at my gallery.
Yeah,
I was going to say,
yeah. I was just trying to get unmuted.
Is she unmuted, Liz?
No.
I
think
can't
she's-
do it.
Oh.
Martha's finger is working on it.
So
Okay.
Ellen,
Oh, I hear you
we'll
now.
talk later.
Yeah. Oh, I loved seeing your pieces, and I'm planning on coming down next Friday
Yay.
to see
Yay.
them. So yeah,
Cool.
So,
Thank you,
and
Martha.
I've got to look up on the coal wax. Lynn, I've talked to you on that I'd like to try
Yeah.
that sometime.
Come over sometime and we'll play with it.
Well, here's the
Yeah.
Bible right
Yeah.
here.
Yep.
Coal wax and
Rebecca Kroll and Jerry McLaughlin.
Okay.
Old wax medium. Is
All right.
backwards?
I
don't
have
know why
the
it's-
book.
No, it works. It works on the.
Okay.
I
okay.
have it
flips it.
at my house, Martha, so you can come over and we'll play and you can look at the book.
Sounds good.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Play dates.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you, everybody. This was fun. Thank you, Liz, for
I have questions.
being there.
Oh!
Oh, you have questions. Uh-oh.
Well,
Oh,
I'll
and
think of one real quick.
Robert's here. Does Robert have any questions?
Let Liz go first.
No, I wanted to comment that I went down to the gallery yesterday and I thought the same about the melding of the two bodies of work. The colors in there are beautiful together.
Thank you.
But when you
Thank
were
you.
talking about encaustic, Lisa, how come you didn't say it dries too quickly?
Oh, encaustic?
Yeah, that's
Does
been
it?
my
Have you tried
frustration.
it? So you've
Oh my
tried
gosh,
it?
yes. Oh,
Um,
took me a
yeah.
year to be
I
not be
know.
mad at it.
You know the thing about encaustic, it's like the fairy tale Goldilocks. So it's the bed that's too hard. It's the bed that's too soft. It's the very perfect bed. Well, it's that way with the surface temperature of the wax.
Yeah.
So that does take practice. When at what time to do certain techniques. If you're doing a totally smooth technique, you want that warm wax. You want warm on warm. If you're trying to get that sweet spot for a lot of buildup of texture, then it's cold wax and you keep painting the wax on
Right,
and you let
right.
that chill. And sometimes you have to be working on two because you're letting one chill out a little bit.
Yep.
So that does take a little practice depending on your technique and the prevailing atmosphere in your studio.
Right? Yeah, winter versus summer, so
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
But what about the coal wax and oil stuff? Is that not a little bit toxic compared to?
Well, like anything else, you should have, good ventilation.
Yeah,
Even with oil paints, you should have good ventilation because
I'm
yeah.
thinking, yeah,
in
some
my
people have
part of
made
the
the move
building,
away.
we're not even in my gallery, we're not allowed to do cold wax, we're not allowed to do
Yeah.
oil paint, we're not allowed to
Right.
do encaustic.
I
So-
have an exhaust fan where I'm working with,
Yeah.
even with the oils and cold wax. It's just a little thing with a tube going out the window, but yeah, as long as you don't want to heat it, that's when you get into trouble.
Right,
The
true.
oils and cold wax, no heat. So
Right.
you just are careful. I wear gloves, you have
You have
ventilation.
yeah.
Should be, it's fine. Don't eat it.
Well, no, I've heard people talk about moving away from oils and the stuff that cleans oils up
Mhm.
as being more toxic. So some people have moved to acrylic. But yeah, that's true. It's a load on where your gallery is. My gallery can't take the electric for encaustic. Can't. It
Mhm.
will break
Mhm.
everything.
One
So,
thing that I like about working with the cold wax and oil is I clean my tools with baby oil.
Yes.
And
oh,
it
there you
works
go.
really good. And it
Sometimes I use
smells
olive
good.
oil,
Oh, really?
baby
Yeah,
oil.
that would work too.
Olive
Yeah.
oil is a little
Okay.
thick. Then you go around smelling like olive oil,
But
but
baby
Yeah.
oil is nice because it just
That's
makes
not
your
bad.
skin
it's
so
not too
smooth.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really good.
Yeah,
That's
you
good.
can make it very safe. I wouldn't be doing it if I thought I was breathing toxic fumes.
Oh, yeah, and I don't mean
Yeah.
that you shouldn't be doing it. I think everyone's got different tolerances, and I'd had heard that people had backed away, maybe more from printmaking stuff. I don't remember what the comment was that
Oh,
I'm
and the one thing
thinking
about
of.
encaustic, I might say, if you don't have a lot of power or a lot of space, you can just buy a NutriChef warmer from Amazon. It goes up to 200 degrees. And you can buy a couple of anodized aluminum plates and you can just do some simple monoprinting.
Yeah.
That's all you need with,
Yeah.
a couple of open windows. That's,
Yep.
and some nice paper. So
Definitely.
you can be pretty low tech. And I know I taught Ellen how to do that in San Miguel. And all I heard from the room was, oh my God, this is amazing.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Totally.
Like, I'll never forget that, Ellen, when I let you loose with the printmaking plates.
Yes, you did. It was amazing.
So, yeah.
Any more questions, Liz?
That was what was on my mind. Thanks for
Robert,
letting me
do
have
you
a turn.
Question?
Yeah, I do.
Robert, here's my husband.
Oh, there's Robert. Hi, Robert.
Yeah, hi. I had a question. Each time you go to a workshop, you come back with lots of ideas and you incorporate what you learned at that workshop into what your next series or two is. Do you ever find that once you've gone to another workshop, that last one sort of fades away, or do you still have retained some of the images and some of the techniques into your next step when you go from one workshop to another?
For me, it's like I don't ever take the whole shebang from anybody, but there's always a few things that I take from every workshop and I can use them again in my work. What about you, Lisa?
Well, I haven't taken a workshop for quite some time, but I guess I'll find out this fall when I take Jerry McLaughlin's. And then if I get into the advanced like a week later, then I guess I'll really find
That
out.
would be fun.
Yeah, they
Because
moved me
I
up
would
on the
be-
list. They moved me up on the waiting list.
Oh, how far?
I don't know, but it's because I'm taking the intro class.
Well, that would be
So-
awesome.
And you're right there.
And I'm right there.
I know. And
I
I'll
don't
be
have
staying
to,
at your condo.
fly for 16 hours to get there.
Yeah.
But I take away, like similar to you, what I applies to me and my vision.
Yeah.
And just leave the rest there, and take that with me and go further. I think we go into workshops seeking out certain things. I mean, we're open to everything, and even at some point in our careers, in our technical level, we go into workshops with certain things that we want to glean from the
Right.
class.
Good question, Robert.
Good question, Robert. You get the gold star.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Technical question.
Oh,
Yes.
technical question.
Technical question on how to get down to Mexico these days.
Houston,
How's the border?
you can fly fine, but you still have to get a test before you come back into the US. 72 hours.
It's the testing. It's testing in. Okay.
And
So
we're
they're taking.
we're actually probably going to drive in the fall, but we'll just show proof that we own a home
Right.
there.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't work for Canada, but I'm glad to hear it works for Mexico.
Yeah. And I don't think they're requiring you to test before you go into Mexico. Do you know?
I don't think we haven't heard that. And Jerry hasn't said anything about that.
No.
He's given us tips on how to get there, but he hasn't said anything about we have to test. So
Yeah, I think it's
Right.
only before you're gonna come back.
Yeah. And by October, the
Maybe
rules
not.
will have changed anyway.
I hope
Right.
so. Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, so we'll see. You'll be flying down in October and I'll be driving probably in mid to late September.
Awesome.
So if
I guess I was
there will be-
wondering if you could have gone sooner. Could you have visited sooner?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Could have.
I wasn't tracking that border. I'm only going north.
Yeah, I think if you drive, you have to have a reason for driving over the border. And I think owning a home is one
Good reason.
thing that we will accept, but we better check for sure on that. So
Yeah.
I think David's checked. So, but flying, anyone can fly there.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Good to hear that that's not a problem.
Yeah.
And hopefully not a problem at all in October, but who knows with the fall.
Yeah.
Everybody
Who
be
knows?
careful.
Who knows, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Thank you, everybody, so much.
Thank you.
Lisa. And I'm
Thank
glad we
you,
can come on
guys.
Saturday. And Martha, I'm glad we can see you on Friday.
Yes.
I love the picture over your couch, Martha.
Oh, yeah.
Do you recognize that?
I recognize it. It looks
Wow.
Oh,
really
yeah.
cool
Oh,
there.
that looks great.
Yeah.
That's one of Jesse Reno's.
Ah,
Reno, yep.
Wow, that's
Detaching
nice.
Defined Purpose. Is that the name of it?
Yes.
Yeah,
that's nice.
that's a really cool painting.
Very nice. Well, I want to thank everybody too for coming. My mother-in-law, Joan, was on, but I think she had to get off because she had eye surgery recently. But I
Ouch.
will call her and thank her.
Yeah,
And then this will be on YouTube, right? You said it will be
I'm
posted on YouTube.
going to do it on YouTube. I learned how to do that last month, so.
Just the
Yeah,
presentation.
So,
part.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Lisa. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
for
you.
coming.
This was
See you
Thanks,
soon.
everyone.
Bye, Robert.
Bye.
Bye, Lisa.
Bye.
Bye, Jen.